Hey there, Cancer. It's Jen here from tarotspirit.net. Thanks for joining me. This is going to be your tarot reading for November 2018. Hope you're doing well. Let's get some cards for you here. Knight of Swords, Temperance, King of Cups, the Tower, Two of Swords, what's coming to me right off is, there are times when we have put something off because we know other people won't understand, and we know people will freak out, or it'll cause a tower type situation potentially. And so we just deny ourselves and push it down and try to live in opposition to our authentic nature. And that can only be done for so long until it just comes crashing down, because again, it was a fraud. We were living a fraud in some way and just doing things so it appeared to people on the outside, and even fooling ourselves, probably more importantly, by living up to some sort of norm, societal norm, or something that we decided at some point for some reason. It's hard because I can look back. I'm 47. I can look back when I was a kid, and especially a teenager, and all it took was one situation to, it's like that fight or flight, like that. For some reason, like embarrassment, we're so worried at that age what other people think, to a fault, like to an obsessive, to the point of teenagers, somewhat obsess over what other people think about them. And so if one thing happens, who knows what it could be, anything, and for whatever, and someday, it reminds me of like Karen Carpenter, who one person in one article talked about her brother and his, I can't remember what the word was, but basically and she was like a kid. She was literally a teenager, and his chubby sister. I can't remember what it was, and it wasn't even accurate. It was just something that, some random person wrote about her, and she saw that, and it ended up killing her because she became anorexic. Because for whatever reason, at that point in time, it hardwired something into her brain, and she was never able to get out of it. So I guess I don't know where this is coming from, but it's just like really examining, like, why is this so important to me? Why do I have this hang up? Why am I obsessed about this thing? Is it a distraction from something else that I should be working on, or is it a block to my happiness? And why is that? So I feel like something like that's going to boil to the surface this month. And I think that's why I've learned to absolutely love the Tower, because again, it's that difference between considering it a breakdown and a breakthrough. And I'm not saying you guys are going to have a breakdown, but it's like you're going to realize something like that. Like, whoa, I have this belief, or I do this because of that situation. And now looking back, this is why therapy is the best. Looking back now as an adult, I was just a kid. Like, you know, you can start and trying to have some perspective. Um, and saying, okay, now as an adult, let's re-examine this because that doesn't make any sense anymore. And if that was my child, or looking back, actually, it's really interesting. I was with a friend a couple weekends ago that I've known since I was 12. And when I was about 12 or 13, she took me and a 13 or 14-year-old about 4 hours away. We were somewhere near Boston. And on the way home, you know, we're kids, we're giggling and talking and whatever. She took a wrong turn and headed down the interstate. There's like an intersection of two interstates on the way home. And she, for some reason, turned onto the wrong one. And we ended up, and this was before cell phones and anything, we ended up quite a bit further from home. So long story short, she brought that up. Oh, that only happened because of you guys. And I looked at her and I said, Andy, I was 13 years old. Was that really my fault? And she sort of stopped and she was like, oh no, you're right. Like, I was like, I was like, wait, I was 13. Can we let this go? That was literally like 30 years ago. Can we let this go now or no longer? 35 years ago. Let's let this thing go. So it's that type of thing. Like but maybe, and I haven't been, but what if it was something where someone got hurt and to this day I had been hanging on like somehow that was my fault when it clearly was not my fault. I couldn't be responsible for something at that age. Someone needed to hear that. I don't know why. But so whatever the situation, this realization that you're coming through, and you're going to make a choice to no longer incorporate that narrative into your life. You're going to let it go. It's going to be gone because you were able to smash this facade and see what was really behind it. And by doing that, relieve yourself, alleviate something that wasn't your burden to carry so that you can move forward living authentically and not carrying some weird burden from something else. And you have this, I'm just focused on this Six of Swords at the end. It's going from rough waters to smooth. So it's really going to I think you're going to be like, I had no idea how much that was affecting me. Like how much that and it's like, it wasn't even something that I thought about very often, but you had been carrying it with you. And it was just almost like this little bit of poison constantly leaking into your system and tainting things. And you're finally able to stop it, to get rid of it once you are able to realize it and see it. And you will. So there is at the bottom of the deck this Five of Swords. So it's kind of like, this is why I keep letting, like it. This is why I keep letting these types of toxic people into my life. Maybe I keep dating the same toxic person. Why do I do that? Well, because maybe you had a belief that you didn't deserve something better for some reason. So once you can see that, it's like, I don't want to be with someone that's selfish and all about themselves. I don't need to give to the point of losing myself. And when you can make that decision to let go of that, you find mutual supportive love. But some of you, I think, are really going to decide to work on yourself, work on being completely self-sufficient. Like the realization could be like, wait, I felt tied in certain situations because for some reason I had this belief that I couldn't do things I couldn't stand alone. I couldn't take care of myself. I couldn't, like this can't. And you're like, no, I can. I can do these things. I can support myself. I can take care of everything. I can schedule my own oil change. I can purchase my own car. I can get my own loan. I can take care of the housework. I can mow the lawn. I can find my own job. It's like, you're like, I am capable of completely managing things myself. And that doesn't mean you don't allow people into your life, but there's no longer this desperate need, or it doesn't come from a place of fear or insecurity. And so you're like, I am perfectly fine. I don't need to sit here feeling bad and worried and striving for trying to find a relationship and feeling bad if I don't. Or if I'm not at where I want to be in my career, that's okay. Do I even want this career? And just as life is always sort of funny this way, once you decide to sort of go it alone or really accept responsibility for yourself, someone comes in and they're like, wow, it's so attractive that there's not this underlying clinginess or desperation or ulterior motive, whether you realize it or not. I want to get to know you. I want to hire you. I want to do this. So maybe you've just decided I'm not going to work at this place anymore. I'm actively looking to leave my job. And they're like, hey, we want to promote you. Doesn't it seem like that? But I also see this as all of a sudden someone that you've been friends with, and for some reason, who you date and what they look like and the materialistic things was very important to you. So you dated people that looked good, but maybe weren't of substance. And now once that mindset changed and you realize why you had that superficial belief, you realize someone, either you start meeting people that are different from your past type until you sort of have this realization, or someone that you had sort of friend zoned or whatever, you realize you're like, wait a minute, this is a quality person right here. And so it's almost like the relationship snuck up on you because you were so busy focusing on something superficial. And now they're here. Like, oh, you finally see me. Here I am. Yeah, and I like, because it's like taking your blinders off to something. And you're like, I don't want either of these people that are kind of fighting over me. I want this new person who's just been quiet and a good friend in the background. So I think I'm just going to leave it at that. Thank you so much, Cancer, for joining me, and I hope you have a really lovely November. Take care.